Part 71. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 701. He is a monk, and physical torture is probably nothing to him. Is there a way that can directly affect his soul? It would be best to make him live, not, or die. Under the moonlight, Shenyazi, who was leaning in Goose Whitting's arms, was pretty and fair, not like a mortal. However, the words coming out of those pretty lips were so cold and cruel that it made people's hearts shrink. Lu Ming was lying on the ground, feeling like death was choking his throat for an instant, and he would be out of his mind the next second. This woman is so cruel. His eyes burst out with malicious light. He took out a communication talisman and crushed it hard. Goose Whitting's expression remained unchanged. If he had the intention to stop him, how could Lu Ming have the chance to crush the communication talisman? He wanted to see what Lu Ming would call for, and he just happened to solve it all. Lest someone always covet his people in the future. A black spark popped up from his fingertips and landed on Lu Ming. Before he could scream, the spark spread throughout his body and burned his body. A gust of wind blew away the pile of ashes. Goose Whitting waved his hand to grab Lu Ming's soul and threw it into a small transparent bottle. He threw a spark into it, and bursts of heart-piercing screams of pain suddenly came from inside. He looked satisfied and handed the bottle to Shenyazi. Is this good? Shenyazi took it and looked at Lu Ming's miserable state inside. He flicked the glass bottle and asked, will it burn out quickly if it is burned like this? Lu Ming's spirit has become much lighter after being so good at kung fu. No, if I don't let him die, he won't die, Goose Whitting said lightly, his words full of domineering certainty. Shenyazi felt relieved and put the bottle away. As Goose Whitting expected, it didn't take long for the old man who beat the young one to arrive. A loud shout came from far away, how dare you, Zuzu! The first word was still far away in the horizon, but when the last word fell, the man was already in front of him. The person who came was a middle-aged man wearing a monk's robe. He had a feminine appearance and a pair of narrow eyes that shone with an evil and treacherous light. He was exactly the same as Lu Ming. His figure stood in mid-air, and when he saw the pile of ashes at the bottom that had not yet been dispersed, his eyes flashed with anger, his temples bulged high, and he attacked Goose Whitting without saying a word. Goose Whitting waved his hand to put up a protective shield for Shenyazi, squeezed her hand, and calmly greeted her, and led the person away without showing any trace during the fight to avoid affecting Shenyazi. Shenyazi watched for a while and saw the sky changing colors and thunder and lightning, but he could not see the specific situation clearly. I can't help but worry, Goose Whitting should be able to beat that man, right? After waiting anxiously for more than half an hour, Goose Whitting's figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Shenyazi hurriedly stepped forward. Are you okay? How is that person? I'm fine, don't worry. Goose Whitting held her shoulders. The man called himself Yan Kingzi, and his cultivation level was even higher than that of him now. However, his fighting awareness and skills were beyond his comparison. It didn't take long for him to gain the upper hand and seriously injure him. Just as he was about to slap the person down with one palm, he received an emergency communication talisman from my family. There has been a change in Guyang's world, come quickly. More than 1,000 years ago, some space channels appeared out of thin air in many places on Blue Star. These space channels were like volcanoes. Some were dull and some were active. It didn't matter if they were dull, but those active channels were troublesome. A variety of alien beasts from other universes or planes came to Blue Star through space channels, causing great harm to the creatures on Blue Star. At that time, humans were almost wiped out. Later, it was only the forces from all sides that united to subdue these strange beasts. Most of the space passages were closed or destroyed by the powerful forces at that time. Only one place could not be closed, and alien beasts continued to break into the Blue Star. Later, Guyang, the ancestor of the Gu family, proposed to open a separate space near the space passage to enclose the passage and the strange beasts coming out of the passage so that they could not cause trouble. This is the origin of Guyangja. Nowadays, Guyangja has become a small world of its own, where major forces are entrenched and have built settlement cities. Except for the lack of internet and Wi-Fi, it is no different from the outside world. Moreover, the aura is richer and the environment is better. Most monks would rather stay inside than stay in the outside world filled with all kinds of poisonous gas and haze. In addition, Guyang realm is also an important resource source and supply point for major forces. The strange beasts that kept popping up inside became the hunting targets of many monks. Their fur, bones, flesh, and inner elixirs are all of great benefit to monks. However, opportunities are often accompanied by dangers. In addition to low-level alien beasts, there are also mid-level and high-level alien beasts that appear in the passage. These alien beasts are not weak in combat power, and most of them are aggressive. Monks often have to form a group to kill them. In addition, there is also the possibility of the emergence of star beasts, the kind that are so powerful that they can crush a planet with one claw. If a strange beast of this level appeared, the entire planet would be in despair. Fortunately, the star beast has only appeared once so far, and for some reason it did not attack humans. It suddenly disappeared after coming out of the passage. Nothing happened for 1,000 years, and gradually everyone in the big families forgot about it. This time the summons is so urgent. Could it be that there is some strange beast in Guyang realm that is difficult to deal with? Since the Guyang world is called a world, it can be broken, and those alien beasts that emerge from the space channel are constantly eager to break out of the small world and go to the blue star outside. If Guyang's realm is broken by a strange beast and breaks out, the disaster that happened more than 1,000 years ago will happen again. Gu Swiding didn't have a deep sense of responsibility for Blue Star, but he didn't want any uncontrollable changes to occur in the world before Mi Yang was found out. Gu Swiding took Shenyazi in his arms and flew away, taking her back to the villa in a short time. Placing a heavy kiss on her forehead, Gu Swiding left a message, "I'll be back soon." He stepped out of the window and disappeared in an instant. He left, and Shenyazi breathed a sigh of relief. The charm in her body was still there, he was dangling in front of her, and without doing anything, she was tempted to move and want to knock him down. Entering the bathroom, Shenyazi soaked in the bathtub, exchanged a Maypan antidote from the system, and meditated to refine the medicine's power. One night passed, Shenyazi calmly opened his eyes, got up from the bathtub, stepped barefoot on the floor, and bathed in the faint morning light, as beautiful as a goddess. She casually grabbed a large bathrobe, put it on her body, and walked out. Taking out the mobile phone from the space ring, there are dozens of missed calls displayed on it. Gu Xiao and Gu Junru were the ones who called the most. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 702. Shenyazi first called Gu Xiao, reported to him that he was safe, and explained the reason for his sudden disappearance last night. Of course it was impossible to tell the truth, so I just found an excuse to put it off. Gu Xiao didn't ask any more questions, saying that as long as she was fine, it would be fine. Just when Shenyazi was about to hang up the phone, Gu Xiao suddenly said, "Wait a minute, Zhizi, we haven't finished discussing the food program yesterday. Let's find a time to continue chatting someday." Good. Gu Junru was not fooled so easily, and Shenyazi could only tell the story roughly, one part true and one part false. "It's Gu Yuro again, why is she staring at you? You didn't suffer any loss, did you?" What Gu Junru fears most is that someone will take advantage of Shenyazi and take some indecent photos. In that case, her future will be terrible. It was all ruined. "No, Gu Swiding arrived in time and took me out." "Tisk, you're just a bowl of dog food when you're caught off guard." Okay, you're fine. As for Gu Yuro, you can avoid her for now. There are people behind her to support her. She's been gaining momentum recently. I'll have to deal with her after a while. No, you dare to attack my people, huh? I'm so tired of living. These words were said so arrogantly that those who didn't know thought she was some female boss on the road. Shen Yizi smiled and rejected her kindness. Sister June, are you? I will avenge myself. Gu Yuro won't be able to dance for long. Oh, what do you say? Gu Junru became excited. Shen Yizi said mysteriously, you will know when the time comes. Lu Ming was the mastermind of what happened last night, but Gu Yuro was also involved. She was the one who was said to have helped the evildoer. Lu Ming has been punished and is currently being roasted by fire in the small bottle until he is worse than dead. Next, it is Gu Yuro's turn. The door of the cafe opened automatically, and Shen Yizi entered and sat down in the corner. After a while, a man entered the store, walked straight towards her, and sat down opposite her. Shen Yizi handed him a small glass bottle containing a transparent pink liquid. This is a powerful version of the love potion she exchanged from the system. According to the system, after drinking this thing, even if there is a pig in front of you, you will not hesitate to rush towards it. Since Gu Yuro likes to see others being tortured so much, she should treat them in the same way as others, and let her also taste the feeling of having her body controlled by beauty drugs. Add this to Gu Yuro's meal and record the video. The man took the things, nodded, and left without saying a word. Shen Yizi stirred the coffee a few times, raised the cup and took a slow sip. Since Shen Yizi was taken away by Lu Ming last night, Gu Yuro's mood has been extremely good, just waiting for various indecent photos and videos of Shen Yizi to appear on the internet. She had made an agreement with Lu Ming in advance. While having fun, she had to take pictures of Shen Yizi's various charming looks, so that people on the internet could see what real debauchery was. However, there has been no movement from Lu Ming's side. Could it be that he killed the person by playing tricks on him? She had seen how perverted he was in bed. If she hadn't been taking various elixirs since she was a child, and her health was much better than that of ordinary people, she would have been killed by him. Can't wait to see Shen Yizi unlucky, being criticized by thousands of people, and having a bad reputation. Gu Yuro couldn't wait any longer and called Lu Ming. However, it keeps showing the number you dialed is not in the service area. Where else can I be if I am not in the service area? Is it possible that Lu Ming can go to the deep mountains and wild forests in one night? Gu Yuro went to Lu Ming's villa, but when she arrived, what she saw was a mess. Just one night, the villa collapsed and turned into ruins. What's going on here? Who are you? What are you doing here? A voice suddenly sounded from behind. Gu Yuro was startled, turned around, and saw a man wearing a black robe standing under a big tree not far away, with a pale face and a somewhat gloomy expression. Asterisk. Back in the apartment, Gu Yuro was still feeling frightened and slumped down on the sofa. It took a while for her heartbeat to return to normal. Originally, she thought Lu Ming was scary enough, but the man in black robe shattered her perception and directly pinched her neck to ask her questions, as if he would kill her if she was slow to explain. She hurriedly poured out everything she knew. Shen Yizi? Gu Switting, the man slowly repeated their names with a scary look in his eyes. When he looked at her again, the man's eyes were like looking at ants. Gu Yuro immediately realized that this man wanted to kill her. Don't kill me. I can do things for you. I know how to lure Shen Yizi out. In desperation, Gu Yuro shouted the sentence in a desperate need to survive. Yan King's heart moved and his eyes narrowed slightly. He and Lu Ming are called master and disciple, but in reality Lu Ming is just his puppet. He has already planted the psychic goo in his body. Through the goo, everything Lu Ming sees and hears can be shared with him. Hence, he knew exactly what happened last night. Lu Ming didn't know much about it, but he could see clearly that the girl he captured was clearly the legendary Ding Yu body. The body of Ding Yu, the best furnace Ding physique. If you can cultivate together with them, your progress will be rapid and there will be no sequelae. It is simply a walking treasure trove of top-quality spiritual stones. What made him even more excited was that the girl was still a virgin. Let me ask, who wouldn't want to get such a furnace? It's a pity that she already had Goose Whitting by her side. That young man was obviously lower in cultivation than him, but he was overwhelmed in every fight, leaving him with no power to resist. Had he not suddenly received urgent news, he might have died by his own hands last night. This revenge must be avenged. He wants to take that girl too. But he has already met them, and his appearance again will definitely arouse their vigilance. Besides, it is not convenient for him to walk outside, so it is better to keep the woman in front of him. In this way, Yan Qingze loosened Gu Yuro's hand and patted her face with his cool palm. Remember your words, I will come to you. After saying that, the figure faded into nothingness until it completely disappeared. Thinking of the man's look when he left, Gu Yuro felt that her neck was tightened again and it was difficult to breathe. After thinking about it, she decided to ask her cousin Gu Lin for help. She cooked a table of food herself, called Gu Lin, invited him to sit down attentively, and even handed the chopsticks to him. Gu Lin raised his eyebrows. His sister had only been served by others. How had she ever served anyone else? Being so attentive and thoughtful today, I'm afraid I might ask him for something. In this way, he accepted it and took a sip of the soup slowly. Gu Yuro asked, how is it? Does it taste good? Gu Lin swallowed it with difficulty. From the taste, he knew that it was indeed made by her own hands. For this reason, he did not say anything unpleasant and said a faint hum. Gu Yuro took it as a compliment and gave him a few more chopstick dishes. If it tastes good, eat more. Second brother, you have lost weight recently. Looking at the mountains of vegetables in the bowl, Gu Lin said, you eat too, don't just look after me. Okay, seeing his attitude, Gu Yuro felt more confident about what she would ask for later, and smiled sweetly. However, halfway through eating, the two of them realized something was wrong. Why does it get hotter and hotter the more you eat? His body was about to move, and an impulse arose spontaneously, as if he had taken a love potion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 703. Gu Lin stood up immediately and was about to leave. Unexpectedly, before he had taken 2 steps, the desire in his body was like a flood that burst out of the gate, immediately overwhelming his reason. His eyes instantly turned red, and only plunder and remained in them. Gu Yuro was not much better than him, and was even more embarrassed. She could no longer control herself and pounced on him. Gu Lin's secret guard, Gu Xian, emerged from the darkness. Looking at the 2 figures entangled in the living room, he silently turned on the video recording function on his mobile phone. Shen Yizi had just put Ning Ning to sleep when he received a video from Gu Xian. Even though she was well prepared, she was still shocked by the explosive scenes in the video. Gu Yuro and Gu Lin? If she remembered correctly, these 2 were cousins. Tut! What a surprise! Originally she just wanted to record a video of Gu Yuro and a certain man, but unexpectedly the man turned out to be Gu Lin, and now it became even more exciting. She calmly clicked on the video to save it, and then sent a copy to Gu Junru. Sister Junru, I'll leave it to you next. The incident unfolded faster than Shen Yizi imagined. In less than 3 hours, Gu Yuro appeared on the trending headlines. Shock. The pure goddess in the eyes of the public actually did such a thing in private. The picture is so shocking that I can't bear to look at it. How hungry is Gu Yuro? Will he extend his claws to his brother? If there was a selection of the most slutty actresses of the year, Guyuro would definitely be the well-deserved no. 1. Holy shit, the way I woke up must be wrong, this cliff is not my goddess. Rura. I believe you. The person in this video is not you, right? Needless to say, it must be some little who doesn't like my goddess, so she deliberately blackmails her. I just laughed. Isn't this picture clear enough? Or is there anyone in the world who looks exactly like Guyuro? I haven't finished the incident of knocking down another male actor on the set before now I got into trouble with my brother again. Doesn't my pink face hurt from the beating? Not to mention, the figure of the pure goddess is really good, and she is only slightly erect. I just want to ask, buddy, is my sister fun? Tisk, tisk, this battle is so fierce that even a person like me, who has been involved in educational films in the adult world, can't help but blush. Poverty has limited my imagination. It turns out that this is how rich people play. When Gulin woke up and moved his hands, he realized something was wrong. What was going on with the soft and smooth hands? His face changed drastically when his memory came back, and he threw Guyuro, who was lying in his arms, out. Guyuro groaned in pain, woke up, and sat up. Her body felt cold, and her whole body ached, especially in a certain indescribable part. She looked up blankly and saw Gulin looking at her with a livid face. Realizing what had happened, she let out a hysterical scream. Gulin threw a piece of clothing in his face and said, "Okay. Stop screaming, we are being plotted." Guyuro hugged her clothes and turned pale. "Second brother, me, what should we do?" Gulin pulled his hair out irritably. "How do I know?" Guyuro trembled when he yelled at her. Gulin ignored her, called out Guxian and asked, "Why didn't you stop me before?" Guxian lowered his eyelids. "I tried to pull the young master and Miss Rowe apart, but couldn't." As soon as he said this, Gulin remembered that at that time he really wanted to separate himself from Guyuro, but under the influence of the medicine, he had already been so obsessed with it that he couldn't care about anything else. Speaking of which, it was indeed not his fault, but the fact that such a ridiculous thing happened to him made him particularly intolerable. "Check it for me. I want to see who is so bold as to plot against me." However, what he didn't know was that the person plotting against him was his most trusted secret guard. Because the secret guard had already been planted with a puppet talisman by Shenyazi, and he no longer obeyed his orders. Yes, Guxian responded neatly, and his figure disappeared in an instant. On the other side, Shenyazi, who sensed the situation through Guxian, couldn't help but smile and gave an instruction to Guxian: "Throw the bottle to the Wang family. Since you want to investigate, I will give you a clue, and then let the Gu family and the Wang family fight dog eat dog." However, before Gulin could find the mastermind, he was summoned back by the master's family, who learned the news. As soon as he entered the Gu family's territory, he could feel the strange looks he received from the passing servants. Of course, there are also tribesmen who take the opportunity to add insult to injury. "Hey, isn't this our extremely talented Mr. Gu Ersheo? Why are you back? Why don't you stay in the colorful world outside for a few more days?" The person who spoke was a lanky young man named Gu Qing, the son of the head of the family, Gu Tianxing. Although it is already the 21st century, within several major cultivation families, the old ways are still maintained. Men, especially men with good qualifications, tend to marry many women. In addition to their main wives, there are also a number of mistresses. Concubine. Enjoying beauty is one thing, but what is more important is to reproduce more children, in order to give birth to more offspring with cultivation qualifications, so as to make the family more prosperous. Gu Qing was the son of Gu Tianxing and a concubine of a certain house. He was of average talent, and because he was a concubine, he was not taken seriously. It was Gulin, a nephew with good qualifications, who was more favored by Gu Tianxing. The resources he usually obtained were not comparable to his. Over time, Gu Qing began to dislike Gu Lin. Usually Gu Lin is very popular because of his good cultivation qualifications and slow promotion speed. Gu Qing can't help it even if he doesn't like him. But now, Gu Lin has made such a big mistake and he can't catch him. How many chances do you have to say something sarcastic? Approaching Gu Lin, Gu Qing smiled a bit obscenely. Second brother, I pride myself on being good at playing, but compared to you, I'm still a step behind. I didn't even let our little sister Ro go. Gee, it really opened my eyes. Gu Lin's face instantly darkened, his eyes were so fierce that Gu Qing was frightened. After all, he didn't dare to provoke him too much, so he said a few more words and left. When they arrived at Gu Tianxing's study, before Gu Lin could start, a paperweight was thrown at him. He didn't dare to hide. His forehead was hit with a gash, and blood flowed down his forehead, leaving a mark on his fair face. It looks a bit eye-catching. Beast. I gave Rura to you to take care of her, but this is how you take care of her? Huh, Gu Tianxing was almost furious, and the table was clapped loudly. Gu Lin pursed his lips and said, Uncle, Kamei and I were plotted against, otherwise how could I possibly treat her dash? Humph. What's the use of talking about this now? Things have already happened, and the other families still don't know how to take our Gu family's jokes. The Gu family's face has been completely ruined by you two little beasts. Originally, we said that Rura would be allowed to taking over from her aunt. It's all over now. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 704. Looking at his furious look, Gu Lin didn't say anything. He just clenched his fists tightly and felt fierce in his heart. Don't let him find the person who dared to frame him, otherwise he would definitely give him a bad death. However, Gu Tianxing did not give him this opportunity. Go to the back mountain and face the wall to think about your mistakes. Don't think about it until you break through the foundation building period. The Juhua secret realm will be opened in a few months. If you don't improve your strength quickly, you will. How can we compete with other companies? Uncle, the person who did it behind the scenes. Okay, just leave this matter to me, I will definitely get to the bottom of it. In this case, Gu Lin could only retreat. You pretend to be a pure and beautiful weekdays, but you are so slutty in private. Damn, you deceived my feelings. Get it off, this kind of woman is really unappetizing. Ms. Gu, I'm planning to shoot an adult education film. I just need an actress who is as open-minded as you. Do you want to join our crew? This is my WeChat ID XXXX. If you are interested, you can contact me. As a pure melon eater, I just want to know how this video leaked out. Gu Yuro shouldn't be stupid enough to spread her video all over the world, right? So, no matter how you look at it, someone is framing her. Forgive me for the conspiracy theory, Gu Yuro must have offended some big boss and was drugged, right? But so what if she was drugged? It is an indisputable fact that she got together with her brother. She is finished. You bitch, get out of the entertainment industry. Aw. Damn it. Damn it. Guyuro violently threw her cell phone out, and before she was relieved, she smashed everything in the room that could be thrown, and finally sat down with her hair dejectedly. She is finished. This scandal is 10,000 times more serious than the last time, and she can't clean it up. Now everyone is throwing dirty water at her and telling her to get out of the entertainment industry, but how did all this happen? The phone that was smashed out was not destroyed. Instead, it continued to operate. A call came in, and the phone vibrated with a buzzing sound. Guyuro stared at it expressionlessly for a long time, and then picked up the phone. The manager on the other side said, Guyuro, come to the company quickly. Tianhuang Entertainment, where Guyuro works, is a subsidiary of the Gu Group. Because of her incident, the company has also been affected, its image has been tarnished, the stock has been falling, and the company's top executives are in a state of distress. Although she is the daughter of the head of the family, Gu Tianxing, Gu Tianxing is not just her daughter, and the Gu family is such a large family, with many direct and indirect branches, and there are as many daughters as there are, so they are not considered elite. When there are more people, the competition becomes fierce. The Gu family adheres to the principle of survival of the fittest. If you are strong, go up. If you are weak, just wait to be squeezed out. After all, there are only so many resources and the cake is so big. Everyone wants to take a bite, so naturally there is no room for others. Previously, Gu Yuro also had the advantage of being the daughter of the head of the house, and because she was really beautiful and had a sweet voice, she stood out. But this time, she made such a big mistake. Not to mention other families, even within the Gu family, they couldn't tolerate her. They couldn't wait to get rid of her, so as not to affect the Gu family's image in the public and bring down other family members. A public figure of the Gu family. The coolness of the family can be seen clearly. However, last time there was a scandal involving Gu Yuro, she turned around and got involved with Lu Ming, and her reputation was even better than before. Who can be sure that she will not be able to get up in the future? So things can't be done forever. As a result, the company's senior management unanimously decided to hide Gu Yuro. Perhaps she can make a comeback after the storm is over. After all, the audience is very forgetful, so maybe this matter will fade away after a while. However, it turned out that they were still too naive. With such a sensational scandal happening in the Gu family, other families, such as the Lu family, the Gu family, and the Huo family, shouldn't they try to add insult to injury? In just a few hours, black material about Gu Yuro and Tian Huang swept across the entire internet. The people who ate the melon were dazzled by the sight and cheered. With the help of these companies, the incestuous relationship between Gu Yuro and his sister has become more and more intense on the internet, and the calls for Gu Yuro to get out of the entertainment industry are getting louder and louder. In the end, although Tian Huang terminated the contract with Gu Yuro, it was of no use and Tian Huang's stock still fell sharply. The entire company was in jeopardy, and many artists took the opportunity to terminate their contracts in order to get out of this quagmire without being affected. The entertainment companies under Zhao, Huo, Lu, and Qin all extended their olive branches to these artists and put forward quite generous conditions. As a result, more artists terminated their contracts with Tian Huang. In just a few days, there were not many people left in Tian Huang. What was originally a large listed company with a market value of tens of billions has now become a scandal-ridden shell company. It has to be lamented. But shopping malls are like battlefields, and there is no such thing as sympathy. Those who take advantage of the opportunity will only feel that the benefits shared are not big enough or sufficient. From Gu Yuro's incestuous affair to the collapse of Tian Huang, the development of this matter can be described as vigorous and ups and downs. Even Shen Yazi, the instigator, did not expect this. In fact, at first she just wanted to retaliate and teach Gu Yuro a lesson. She never expected that things would develop to this point. But this is just what she wanted. Today's Gu Yuro is just a rat crossing the street, and can no longer make any waves. On the other hand, Gu Yuro also thought that she would never be able to turn around in her life. Now that her reputation was ruined, let alone gaining the power of faith, it would be good if she didn't get sulfuric acid thrown at her. Now that she has lost her value, what will be the fate waiting for her? Being used by the family for marriage? Sent to be used as a cauldron by some monk? She couldn't help but shiver in her heart when she thought of these terrible consequences. No, she's not done yet. Didn't that scary man in black robe say he would come to find her last time? Before, she hoped that he would never come to her, but now she is eager for him to come immediately, because this will prove that she at least still has certain use value. She has a chance to turn over. But instead of waiting for the man in black robe, he waited for a phone call. The person on the other end seemed to have used a voice changer, so he couldn't tell whether he was male or female. Shenyazi brought you to this point, do you want to take revenge? Think. Why don't you want to? Guyuro wished she could swallow Shenyazi alive. Unfortunately, her and Shenyazi's status in the entertainment industry are now completely reversed. She was blackmailed by netizens and didn't even dare to leave the house. However, Shenyazi became famous through Yan Ran's Dongfeng and successfully climbed into the second tier. There is a huge disparity in strength between the two, so what can she do against her? The person on the other end spoke again. Shenyazi knows that you can't deal with her, but you can't move the people around her. After hanging up the phone, Guyuro's expression changed several times, and a news notification suddenly popped up on her phone. Hashtag her cat has become a sperm. If you stare at it for more than 10 seconds, you will have good luck throughout the day. Hashtag. Next to it is a picture of Shenyazi holding a white cat with a pure and bright smile. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 705. Guyuro accidentally clicked in, and after reading it, she slammed the phone out. The whole article in the news is full of praises for Shenyazi, such as the heavenly voice, the prosperous beauty, the cat he raises is the reincarnation of a koi carp, and after reading it, he will get good luck, all of which are farts. She is so amazing, why doesn't she go to heaven? Shenyazi was surprised when he learned that his ice cream dip was on the hot search list. Sci-fi beauty, is your cat the reincarnation of a koi carp? I went for an interview that day, and there were so many great candidates. I had given up all hope, but I happened to see the beautiful picture you posted. The moment I had the ice cream, my heart miraculously calmed down, and the subsequent interview went very smoothly. I couldn't believe it when I passed the interview. I decided that from now on ice cream will be my destiny, and I will fight with whoever competes with me. What a coincidence, ice cream is also my natal god. His Royal Highness Xi's Hermes ice cream, I confess my love to you every day. Go up to me, let my highness see me. I don't even dare to express my praise for you, for fear of being praised until next year. Isn't it just a cat? At most, its fur is a little whiter, its eyes are a little clearer, and it's a little cuter. Is it as magical as you said? Yes, it's just that magical. Other people's cat series. Mom asked me why the screen is so wet. Mom, because I really can't control the urge to lick the screen a few times. Sci-fi Myron, do you rent out your cat, 1 million a day? I am actually addicted to a cat. I don't say anything, just repost and like it silently. He smiled like an ant to his highness in the arms of Sci-fi beauty. I'm tired from going to work every day, but when I sees his Hame and her cat, I feel that there is still hope in life. Looking at these comments and feeling the steady flow of reputation points, Shenyazi's heart swelled, as if he was soaking in a hot spring. There is nothing I can do in return, I can only send another wave of beautiful photos. Shenyazi found the ice cream and found it playing on the swing with Ning Ning in the garden. The two of them were on the swing, one going up and the other down, never on the same channel, one giggling, the other meowing, with a large field of brightly blooming roses behind them. The picture was so harmonious. She picked up her phone and clicked through a few pictures. Each one was so beautiful that it could be used as a screensaver. After taking the photo, I edited the photo, covered Ning Ning's head with a cute little puppy, and uploaded it to Weibo. Almost instantly, comments below popped up like mushrooms after a rain. "Aw, I can't do it anymore, I'm going to be cute to death. Help me up, I can lick for another 100 years. It's so cute, it must be a blue boy." Sci-fi Myron, I have something to say. Is your family still in need of a nanny? She's good looking and soft bodied, can cook, and acts cute. She doesn't need any money, so I'll give you some money. Owner, Your idea is very dangerous. The ice cream belongs to all of us. If anyone wants to monopolize it, take it out and beat the corpse. The exam is tomorrow. I was a little panicked at first, but now after seeing the ice cream, I am full of confidence in myself. Shen Yizi looked at these comments and smiled unconsciously. His body suddenly flew into the air and someone picked him up from behind. Shen Yizi turned his head and impatiently fell into a passionate kiss. Back, the long kiss ended, and Shen Yizi's fingers softly traced Gu Switting's eyebrows. Well. Gu Switting reluctantly kissed her face a few more times before holding her and sitting down. Took out something and handed it to her. Do you like it? It is a fiery red bead the size of a lychee. It is crystal clear and seems to have a flowing fire inside. It is extremely beautiful. Shen Yizi took it over in surprise and played with it on her fingertips. The beads were warm and not hot. She felt that there was a majestic power inside. What's this? Alchemy of strange beasts, do you like it? Exotic beast, inner elixir. Well, the inner elixir of the Tiankui beast is going to deal with this strange beast this time. I will take you to see it another day. The Tiankui beast is a 5th level fire-type beast. It looks like a combination of a lion and a rhinoceros. In addition to its muscular body, it can also breathe fire. This big guy has been invincible since it came out of the space channel, trying to break through the barrier of Guyangja. The flames it sprayed were extremely hot, and many monks were burned to ashes in just one encounter. It can be said that Guyangja suffered heavy losses. There is no other way, the people left behind can only look for foreign help. After Gu Switting arrived, many monks had already been killed by the Tiankui beast. Unfortunately, this time it encountered Gu Switting, who had spatial spiritual roots. Its fire was often swallowed up by the space gap he drew with his hand before it could reach him. In the end, the space blade he released pierced the abdomen of Tiankui beast, and he died beyond death. Gu Switting only took away its inner elixir, and left the rest to be distributed by Gu Chun, the person in charge of the Gu family in Guyangja. The Tiankui beast is a 5th level alien beast. Its fur, bones and flesh are made of the best materials. Everyone originally thought that they had no part in it. After all, it was Gu Switting who killed the alien beast, right? Unexpectedly, he only wanted the inner elixir, and he was very happy for a while. Why does Gu Switting need the inner alchemy? Of course she is the little girl who pleases him. Inner elixir is the essence of the alien beast's cultivation. It contains almost 90% of the energy in the alien beast's body. This one is worth countless spiritual stones, so it is perfect for practicing. However, the Tiankui beast is a fire-type beast. Although it is dead, its inner elixir still contains a violent energy. Only by eliminating this violent energy can there be no hidden dangers in cultivation. Gu Switting had already thought of this, and what he gave to Shen Yizi was the inner elixir that had already been processed and could be directly refined. He wrapped his big palm around Shen Yizi's smaller hand and closed the inner alchemy. A clear voice sounded in her ears, "Feel it, try to draw out the energy inside and introduce it into your body." Shen Yizi followed the instructions and felt a majestic power close at hand, like a vast ocean. She carefully guided a trace of it, followed the meridians into her body, circulated around the world, and merged into her dantian. After this circle, she felt that her cultivation had obviously increased a little, and she opened her eyes. "I did it." Gu Switting smiled fondly and said, "Zhizi is great." Shen Yizi suddenly felt ashamed and his toes could not help curling up. She was obviously not young anymore, but in front of him, she always felt like she was being treated as a baby. Gu Switting did not let her go and moved closer. "Zhizi is so great, I decided to give you a reward." Award? Shen Yizi had a bad premonition and wanted to escape. However, her speed was not enough in front of him, and she was caught before she even took 2 steps. He threw the person on the sofa and covered him completely. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 706. Shen Yizi rolled his eyes and actually didn't hide. Instead, he took the initiative to climb up to him. His vine-like flexible body pressed against him tightly. He followed his previous behavior and bit him on the ear, and even blew a breath. Goose Whitting's body tensed up instantly, his eyes darkened, and the flames underneath seemed to burn her and himself together. However, at a certain moment, he seemed to be struck by lightning, and he stopped moving with a blank expression. The man underneath him laughed as if the prank had succeeded and fell into his arms, tears streaming down his face. Goose Whitting was funny and angry, so he asked her why she was so unusual today and actually took the initiative to flirt with him. But it turned out that it was a small day and she knew that he could only watch but not eat, so she deliberately teased him. She was sure that he couldn't do anything to him, so she did whatever she wanted to do as much harm as she wanted, right? Goose Whitting grabbed her neck and rubbed her hard several times. He wished he could turn her over and spank her a few times, this annoying little goblin. Thinking about it, my body reacted uncontrollably. Shen Yizi's smile froze, he pushed him away and ran away. When I arrived at the door, I bumped into Ning Ning coming in with an ice cream in her arms and was busy arranging her hair. Ning Ning rushed over with her ice cream in her arms. Sister, is Uncle Goo back? Goose Whitting had calmed down by this time, walked out and touched his head. Yeah, do you miss your uncle? Think, Ning Ning answered loudly and crisply. The little guy is naturally cute, sensible and well behaved. Goose Whitting loves the whole family and indulges him very much, so Ning Ning is not afraid of him and says whatever she wants in front of him. Goose Whitting pinched his face and asked with a smile, do you want to play toss-up? Ning Ning grabbed his trouser legs and jumped with joy, expressing his thoughts with actions. Goose Whitting picked him up with one hand and played a fancy tossing game. Ning Ning was so happy that she kept screaming. Ice Cream licked her fur gracefully and ran into Shen Yizi's arms. Her fluffy tail swept her arms, and she looked at him tenderly with a pair of clear and ethereal ice blue eyes. The next day was the weekend, and Shen Yizi fulfilled his promise to take Ning Ning to the amusement park. In order not to be recognized, she cast a phantom spell on both herself and the ice cream. Unless the cultivation level is one level higher than hers, they will never be recognized. Goose Whitting originally wanted to accompany him, but there were a lot of things in the company these days that he needed to deal with. Shen Yizi took Ning Ning to the largest amusement park in the city. Before leaving, Goose Whitting gave her a card that allowed her to pass through the amusement park. Then she realized that the amusement park was also owned by the Gu family. Arrived at the amusement park, Lin Nan, who had been waiting at the door for a long time, immediately ran forward and handed the cones bought in advance to Shen Yizi and Ning Ning. Shen Yizi took it and handed over a paper bag. Have you had breakfast? I brought you some food. Lin Nan is in the second grade of junior high school. He usually lives on campus, but this time he took a ride directly from school. Shen Yizi was afraid that he would not have a good breakfast, so he brought him some breakfast. Lin Nan took it and opened it. It was full of his favorite food. He smiled and said, I've eaten it, but I can still have another meal. The group of people walked toward the amusement park while eating. With the pass card given by the boss, a few people didn't have to queue at all and entered without any obstacles. It feels great to not have to queue up. You can play whatever you want. After a whole morning, Shen Yizi and a few children played most of the games in the amusement park and even finished some. Several times, like carousels, water slides and the like. She was just having fun herself. It seems that no matter how old a person is, a childlike innocence is indispensable. A few people were playing like crazy. Fortunately, Shenyazi was a monk and had much more energy than ordinary people. Otherwise, he would have been unable to hold on. Had it not been already noon and Ning Ning and the others were hungry, they could have continued playing. Shenyazi took them into a nearby restaurant. "Brother Nan, I have to go to the bathroom." Not long after sitting down, Ning Ning approached Lin Nan and said. After speaking, he glanced at Shenyazi sheepishly. Lin Nan was so funny that she told Shenyazi and took the little guy to the bathroom. Shenyazi finished ordering, handed the menu to the waiter, tied a napkin on the ice cream, and set the tableware for it. There were two girls sitting at a table not far away. When they saw the ice cream with napkins tied around their necks, they were sitting upright waiting for the food to be served. They were so cute by its small appearance that their faces turned bloody. They took out their mobile phones and were about to record a video. Shenyazi noticed it and declined politely. The two girls put away their mobile phones in embarrassment, but couldn't help but look over here from time to time. Nearly 10 minutes passed, and Lin Nan and the others still hadn't come back. Shenyazi suddenly felt something was wrong and called Lin Nan. After a busy tone, it showed that the call could not be reached. Shenyazi's heart sank, and his consciousness quickly dispersed, and he scanned the bathroom. Where were Lin Nan and Ning Ning? How come the good one is missing? Could it be that they were kidnapped by someone? With the restaurant as the center, Shenyazi's consciousness has completely spread. However, her current consciousness can only cover a few hundred meters in radius, but she cannot see the entire playground. Just thinking that Ning Ning and the others might be taken away, she became extremely anxious and tried her best to extend her consciousness. But it still didn't work. Her consciousness stretched to its limit and she couldn't move any further. She tried her best, but her head immediately hurt like it was exploding. Meow. Ice Cream called to her, then ran out, and looked back at her at the door, as if to say, "Follow me quickly." Shenyazi suddenly remembered that Ice Cream was not a real cat, but a cat. A cat was a spiritual animal. In addition to being able to make people feel peaceful, its 5 senses were also extremely sensitive. Its sense of smell was comparable to that of a well-trained police dog. It's not much better to get up. Did it discover traces of Ning Ning and the others? She felt happy and hurriedly followed him. However, when she arrived at the location, she only saw a van driving away at high speed. Shenyazi's eyes turned cold. He found a hidden place, took an invisibility talisman and a flying talisman on himself and the ice cream, and flew over with the ice cream. After catching up with the van, she glanced inside and found that Lin Nan and Ning Ning had been knocked unconscious and stuffed in the trunk, and she was extremely angry. These bastards! She was about to take action when she discovered that the people in the car actually had some cultivation skills. The one driving the car is at the 3rd level of chi refining, the one in the passenger seat is at the 4th level, and the one in the back seat has the highest cultivation level and is at the 7th level. Originally, she thought this was an ordinary kidnapping case, but now it seems that is not the case. Would monks be dispatched for ordinary kidnapping cases? The people behind this are obviously not simple. Almost instantly, she thought, could this group of people be here for her? Ning Ning and the others were implicated by her. Shenyazi did not act rashly and followed the van quietly. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 707. The van drove all the way to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. There were some construction materials and garbage piled randomly around the factory. It was overgrown with weeds and looked very dilapidated. The 3 people got out of the car. The driver opened the trunk, carried Lin Nan and Ning Ning into the factory, threw them on the ground, took out his mobile phone and called someone randomly. "Hey, we brought the people." "Okay, I'll be right over." Shenyazi was lying on the roof of the factory. In her consciousness, the voice on the other end of the phone could not escape her ears. "Guyuro." He, it seems that her method last time was too gentle. Sure enough, as the old saying goes, if you kill the snake, you will suffer the consequences. I originally thought that her reputation would be ruined and she would not be able to stay in the entertainment industry, but I didn't expect that she would dare to attack the people around her. This time, she will never give her a chance to fight back. Not long after, Guyuro drove over in a car. Although her reputation was damaged, she still dressed up nicely, which was incompatible with the dilapidated environment here. She glanced around, frowned in disgust, and walked into the factory like a condescending person. Seeing Lin Nan and the two lying unconscious on the ground, she sneered, walked over, and said to the third-level chi refiner with the lowest cultivation level, "Wake them up." The third level of Chi Lianqi looked dissatisfied. He approached her and held her chin frivolously. "Who are you? You dare to call me around? You." Guyuro wanted to shake him off, but found that his hands were like iron pliers, squeezing her painfully, and she could not break away no matter what. "Let me go, you bastard," Guyuro cursed. The third level of Chi Lianqi slapped him. "Dare you scold me? Believe it or not, I will cut out your tongue." Guyuro was slapped so hard that she fell to the ground. There was a roar in her ears and half of her face was numb. It took a long time to recover. There was a burning pain on my face. Guyuro looked towards the other two people, only to find that they were sitting in the corner with their legs crossed. They looked like they were practicing, and they didn't even look this way. She was suddenly shocked. Could it be that these people were all monks? After discovering this, Guyuro's anger was immediately released, but she was a little afraid. This man is a monk. In the eyes of monks, mortals are just like ants on the ground, not worth mentioning. If it weren't for the monastic association to intimidate them, how could the monks take the lives of ordinary people like them into consideration? She might have been killed just now. Guyuro got up on her own, not daring to be presumptuous anymore. "You are so good," the third-level chi refiner patted her face. "Go and wake up these two on the ground." Guyuro felt a sense of humiliation. If she were a monk, she would kill all these dogs who dared to bully her. However, she was not. Facing the humiliation at the third level of chi refining, she was unable to resist. Instead, she vented all her anger on Lin Nan, who had no idea. She walked over and kicked Lin Nan hard. She was wearing a pair of pointed high-heeled shoes today. The tips of the shoes were like awls. You can imagine how painful it would be if they were kicked. Shen Yizi on the roof felt his heart tighten. "Gu, Yi, Ro. But now is not the time to show up." She took a deep breath, released a few spirit beetles, and watched them crawl into the factory quickly and silently, approaching the monks, her eyes filled with coldness. Lin Nan woke up from the pain and saw a foot kicking towards him. He grabbed it and pushed it out without thinking. Guyuro screamed and fell heavily to the ground, her screams echoing across the sloping roof. The two people sitting cross-legged practicing in the corner opened their eyes impatiently. The third level of chi refining sighed in his heart, walked over and kicked Guyuro. "Scream, you don't want your tongue anymore, right?" The voice was full of anger. It seemed like if she screamed one more time, her tongue would really be cut out. Guyuro bit her lip and muffled the cry of pain into her stomach. She hated Lin Nan in her heart and stared at him with her eyes, wishing to tear him to pieces. Lin Nan couldn't care less about her hateful eyes at the moment. The surrounding environment was very unfamiliar, and there were several equally unfamiliar people who seemed to have malicious intentions. Even though he had always been mature and calm, he couldn't help but panic for a moment. Noticing that Ning Ning was also lying next to him, he quickly hugged him into his arms, stood up and stepped aside, staring at several people warily. "Who are you? Why did you kidnap us here?" Guyuro got up and sneered. "What are you doing? You will know later." Hook up her mobile phone and call Shen Yizi. Of course, she used a new card. Shenyazi, those two cubs are in my hands. If you want to keep them alive, come to the XX factory on the outskirts of Nanjing. You come alone and are not allowed to tell anyone, otherwise you will wait to give them to the two. Let's collect the corpse, little bastard. Just as he was about to hang up the phone, he heard Shenyi on the other end, I'm already here. What dash? Guyuro heard movement from above, looked up, and saw a slender figure descending from the sky, landing in front of her, and smiled at her. I said I'm already here. Her smile was beautiful, but her eyes were full of cold murderous intent. Guyuro's heart suddenly shrank, her hair stood on end, and her screams burst out of her throat uncontrollably. Shenyazi, you. What about me? Shenyazi approached her. Guyuro kept retreating, and suddenly stepped on something under her feet. She stumbled and fell to the ground. A nail was stuck in the palm of her hand, and her face was twisted in pain. What are you waiting for? This is Shenyazi, why don't you kill her quickly? Guyuro shouted hysterically at the people on the third floor of Chi Refining. Fear made her voice particularly sharp and harsh. The seventh-level Chi refiner scolded her coldly, noisy. He raised his hand and swung a wind blade towards her, trying to silence Guyuro. However, he waved his hand, but nothing came out. His body was completely empty, without even a trace of spiritual energy. The face of the seventh-level Chi Lian changed suddenly, and his eyes shot towards Shenyazi like lightning. What did you do to me? Shenyazi was too lazy to pay attention to him. He shot two diamond talismans towards Lin Nan and stuck them on them to protect them. The vines from his fingertips shot out at high speed and wrapped around the people on the seventh level of Chi training. The spiritual energy in several people's bodies had been eaten away by the spiritual beetles. Without their spiritual energy, their physical fitness was only slightly better than that of ordinary people. They were completely incompetent in front of her. Shenyazi tied several people into a ball in a few moments, shot several puppet talismans at them, completely controlled several people, and asked them many questions. However, what surprised her was that these people did not know who the people behind the scenes were. They only said that they contacted each other by phone. The person who contacted Guyuro was an unknown man or woman. One day, he suddenly came to her and offered to provide her with someone to help her take revenge against Shenyazi. Guyuro has nothing now, not to mention she hates Shenyazi deeply, so naturally she will not refuse that person's so-called help. She knew that the man wanted to use her to deal with Shenyazi, but so what? Anyway, their purpose is the same, why wouldn't she do it? As for these people who have cultivation skills, a mysterious person contacted them by phone. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 708. Although they have cultivation skills, they do not belong to any force. They are independent cultivators. They have obtained some cultivation resources by taking on private jobs along the way, and have managed to cultivate to the level they are today. As for who hired them, they don't care, as long as the spiritual stones are provided. This time, the person who hired them was very generous. They gave them 5 spiritual stones as a deposit and promised to give them 10 more spiritual stones afterwards. All they need to do is destroy Shenyazi. The Monks Association has regulations that monks are not allowed to attack ordinary people, otherwise they will be boycotted and hunted down by the 9 major cultivation families and associations. Now the world of cultivation is in the hands of the 9 major cultivation families and monk associations. If one is blacklisted by the 10 major forces, then his days in the world of cultivation will be over. But in this world, there are always some people who take risks for the sake of profit. This is the case for these 3 casual cultivators. These 3 people are 3 brothers. The eldest brother is the one with the 7th level of Chi refining and has the best talent. The second brother is the 4th level of Chi refining, and the third brother is the 3rd level of Chi refining. The 3 brothers made money by robbing tombs in their early years. Once they found a piece of silk in a tomb. On the silk is a cultivation technique. The three brothers tried to practice according to the above exercises. As a result, they practiced for a year and achieved nothing. Lao San is not a perseverant and patient person. When he saw that it had no effect, he stopped learning. Another year passed, and the second child could no longer hold on. Only the eldest brother was still persisting. In the third year, the boss finally introduced qi into his body. Physical fitness has been greatly improved. The second and third elders saw the real results, and they all regretted it and started practicing again. It's just that the second and third eldest children are not as talented and perseverant as the eldest brother, so in the end the eldest brother has the highest cultivation achievements. The second child is also doing well, but the third child has been stuck on the third level of qi refining for more than 10 years and has not been able to break through. Because their practice of martial arts was not done in the right way, and they later did a lot of evil things and committed a lot of murders in order to obtain resources, so no force wanted to have them. The three brothers simply broke the pots and smashed them and became casual cultivators. It is not easy to be a casual cultivator. It is extremely difficult to get some cultivation resources. Otherwise, they would not be willing to risk offending the 10 major forces and take on this private job just for 15 spiritual stones. When Shen Yizi learned that his life was only worth 15 spirit stones, he laughed angrily. Her star palace has a mountain of top quality spiritual stones, okay. The person behind the scenes actually wanted to buy her life for 15 spirit stones. He was so stingy. Seeing that he couldn't ask any more questions, Shen Yizi asked the three brothers to hand over the skills they had obtained from the cemetery, and then gave them the last instruction, to kill each other. Then he took Lin Nan and Ning Ning away from this ghost place. This incident sounded a wake-up call for Shen Yizi. She has a system and space of her own, and she can escape danger even if she can't defeat it, but the people around her have nothing. Ordinary people are too vulnerable in front of monks. If Gu Yuro hadn't thought of using Lin Nan and the others to threaten her this time, they would have been in danger. At that time, no matter how many achievements she has made and how high her cultivation level is, what will it be of use? The lost person cannot come back. Unless she can be reborn again. But being reborn once is a great blessing. Can it happen again? Instead of pinning your hopes on illusory luck, it is better to take some practical protection. Shen Yizi exchanged 2 protective jade tablets from the system and gave them to Lin Nan and Ning Ning. He also exchanged them for a 5th-level defensive formation to be placed around the orphanage. As a result, she has very little reputation left to use. As for the 5 million reputation points left in the account, they are used to exchange high-level inhibitors for Ning Ning and cannot be touched. Speaking of which, she has to thank Yan Ran for asking her to shoot the MV, which greatly increased her reputation and earned her a lot of reputation points. Otherwise, she would never have earned the 5 million reputation points. Of course, the cute ice cream with koi attributes also played a major role in earning her a lot of reputation points. Asterisk. Wang family. Liu Yuan. Wang Mi Yang Yun came out of the training room, washed up, and sat at the table. The maidservant brought a lot of spiritual food and then waited quietly aside. She scooped up a bowl of snow ginseng and pigeon soup and drank it gracefully. Halfway through drinking, Swanya, who she had sent out to do something before, came back. Swanya saw that she was eating and did not disturb her. She stood aside silently and waited for her to finish her meal. Half an hour later, Mi Yang finished her meal and absorbed and refined the spiritual energy contained in the food. Having learned the lessons from the previous world, she did not dare to delay her cultivation in this life, otherwise she would be powerless to resist in front of Gu Switting. She calmed down for a while, then opened her eyes and asked, "How's it going?" Swanya knelt down on one knee and said, "Miss, according to your wishes, I found Shen Yizi's enemy Gu Yuro and used her hand to deal with Shen Yizi." I was afraid that the person she found was unreliable, so I also found 3 other CAO family members. Brother, the result. Swanya paused for a moment. What's the result? A flash of light flashed in Wang Yun's eyes, thinking that Shen Yizi had fallen into the hands of the 3 brothers of the Cao family and was tortured beyond human form. Ever since she met Shen Yizi in Zayao Mountain, she has felt like she had a lump in her throat every day since she came back. Whenever she thought of Shen Yizi's face, she wished she could disappear from this world right away. Now she has changed her strategy. Don't Gu Switting and Shen Yizi love each other deeply? Even if they forget each other in every life, they still have a deep love for each other. If she can't defeat Gu Switting, can she still be unable to deal with Shen Yizi? The realm of reincarnation has said that although this is the experience world it transformed into, if you die here, you will really die. Moreover, the soul will be reincarnated here forever and cannot really be reincarnated. She will want to sink in it forever. Swanya caught a glimpse of her excited expression from the corner of her eye. Her scalp tightened, but she had to say the next words. Shen Yizi was fine, but the 3 Cao brothers and Gu Yuro died in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. Their deaths were miserable, and strangely, they killed each other. After saying that, Swanya lowered her head and held her breath. Trash. You can't do such a thing. Well, Mi Yang was so angry that she kicked Swanya away, no longer caring about maintaining her elegant fairy posture. Swanya was kicked 10 meters away, vomited blood, crawled back and continued to kneel. Feeling that her eyes were always on him, Swanya's body trembled slightly, and she was worried, but she didn't dare to say a word. After a long time, she realized that the cold gaze above her head had finally moved away, and she quietly breathed a sigh of relief. The next moment I heard, "I'll give you a chance to atone for your sins. This time, do you know what to do?" Swanya tried her best and said, "Miss, then I will have twice as many spiritual stones this time, hire a group of more powerful people, and give Shen Yizi to." She made a click gesture. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 709. Mi Yang kicked her again. Do you have any brains at all? This kind of thing is indispensable. The 3 Cao brothers are powerless cultivators. If they die, they will die. But who is Gu Yuro? People from the Gu family. If the Gu family finds out something along the way, I can't hold it back. Then, what do you mean, miss? Humph, isn't Shen Yizi from the entertainment industry? Then I will use the entertainment industry's methods to deal with her, and then fall on the Gu family. Wouldn't it be perfect? Mi Yang glanced at Swanya. Do you know what to do now? I know, please don't worry this time, miss. Asterisk. Shen Yizi woke up and found that Gu Switting was no longer there, but his scent and warmth still remained on the quilt. Last night, he stayed in her room because he was going on a business trip abroad. But to her surprise, he didn't do anything to her. He just hugged her and wouldn't let go. He wrapped his hands and feet around her, treating her like a human pillow. Lying in his arms that night, she slept extremely soundly and peacefully, without even a dream. The feeling of being full from sleep is indescribably comfortable. While brushing his teeth, his cell phone rang outside. Shen Yizi hurriedly picked it up, holding a mouthful of foam in his mouth and calling out, "Sister June, are you?" indistinctly. Gu Junro's voice was full of anger. "Zhizi, don't go to school today, so as not to get smashed by others. I have asked my assistant to ask for leave for you." Shen Yizi knew the dark side. What did she do that was so unreasonable that she deserved to be pelted with rotten eggs? Isn't this the kind of treatment only those serious criminals in ancient times had? Gu Junru was in a hurry to help her with public relations and didn't have time to explain it to her carefully, so he asked her to read the news and check Weibo. Shen Yizi opened Weibo and found that he was on the hot search again, but none of the words mentioned on it were good. What about keeping, worshipping money, and White Lotus bitch? These words were thrown at her head as if she didn't need money. Shen Yizi's face became darker and darker the more he looked at it. He finally realized how powerful the media's mouth was. All the white things were turned into black. There were also some photos below that looked like stone hammers. There is one where she got out of school and got into a luxury car, one where she walked into the gate of the manor in an evening dress, and there was one where she was carried away by a tall man. Chinese people's ability to look at pictures and make up their own minds is extremely powerful. Putting these pictures together gives them unlimited room for imagination. After thinking about it in his head, he immediately confirmed that she was being kept. Shen Yizi just wants to give these people a haha. The luxury car she got into was clearly the one that Sister Jun Ryu drove when she came to pick her up that day. Could it be that her agent kept her? The picture of entering the Lu family manor at the back was so beautiful that she was fascinated by it. She didn't know who took the picture for her. This picture looked obviously different from the other two pictures. However, it is inserted between those two, but it plays a key role in connecting the past and the future. As for the last one, isn't it that Lu Ming who carried her away? With his level of cultivation, it was impossible not to notice that someone was secretly photographing him. However, he still allowed the photo to be taken, which shows that he did not take the matter to heart at all. Now it's hurting her terribly. Shen Yizi was so angry that he took out the bottle containing Lu Ming's soul and shook it vigorously. Hearing Lu Ming screaming inside, he finally felt better. Of course, not all people on the internet are dissing her. She has also accumulated some fans in the past few months. When she was criticized in various ways, they decisively stood up to speak for her and supported her. However, the person behind the scandal was well versed in public opinion. He then released a series of photos of her life in the orphanage, as well as photos of her previous part-time job, and even included proof that she was born in an orphanage. Well, comparing the before and after, isn't it just a scene where Cinderella flies up a branch and gets close to the benefactor? At this time, even the fans' stance is no longer firm. Only a few die-hard fans are still defending her. We know he is not such a person. What can a few specious photos show? Gigi beauty, I believe in you, you are the most beautiful. Zhizzy, don't pay attention to these trolls, they only use the keyboard to find their presence online. However, these few comments from die-hard fans were quickly submerged in so many abuses that they couldn't even stir up a wave. However, this is not over yet. The Big V who broke the news posted another long Weibo post. The first picture is very shocking. In the picture, Shen Yizi is torturing a very cute kitten. If those people who had previously exposed the news still had the mentality of watching a show, then they are really angry now. The cat is so cute, how could she do it? I didn't expect that someone so good-looking could be so vicious. Public opinion instantly showed a one-sided trend, and Shen Yizi's meager attitude was completely destroyed. Everyone was like a messenger of justice, leaving their own declarations and accusations. Shen Yizi glanced at her for a few times. Those words were like sharp knives stabbing at her, and like a wave of extremely vicious waves sweeping towards her. If she was really a 19-year-old girl, she would be afraid at this moment. Don't kill yourself out of despair. But she is not. After living 2 lifetimes, she no longer cares about the opinions of the outside world. She was even in the mood to make a cup of coffee and drink it slowly. Gu Junru was afraid that she wouldn't be able to bear it after seeing Weibo, so he called her again, asking her not to touch her phone for the time being, and reassured her that she would soon calm down the public opinion. Shen Yizi smiled and shared with her some comments he had just seen. Sister Jun Ryu, Let me read it to you. She is so vicious at a young age, but she will get better when she grows up. I am willing to accept this female devil for the sake of the country. Meow meow meow, you killed me so cruelly, I will come to you at night. Haha, Sister June, are you? I think these netizens are quite cute. Gu Junru. Is this child so frightened by online violence? Zhizzy, don't worry, I will soon settle the public opinion on the internet. You can just stay at home for the next 2 days and don't go anywhere. Do you understand? Sister June, are you? No need, I want to be on the headlines for 2 more days. Let those people say whatever they want. The bigger the incident becomes, the more popular she will be and more people will know about it. When things turn around, she will gain more reputation points. After hearing her words, Gu Junru was silent for a while. Zhizzy, I know a very good psychiatrist. I will take you to see him later. I guess it means she is mentally disturbed. Shen Yizi had no choice but to say, Sister June, are you? I'm serious. Don't worry about online matters for now. The heat will naturally subside by then. After hearing this, Gu Junru thought to herself, could it be that her cousin wanted to handle this matter personally? If he had taken action himself, then she really wouldn't have to worry about this kind of turmoil. Okay, then I'll wait. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 710. Shen Yizi spent 2 days of comfortable life at home, not caring about the ups and downs of the outside world at all. 3 days have passed, and the popularity of Shen Yizi on the internet has not subsided. This makes Gu Junru, who has been waiting to see what she does, anxious. Zhizzy, what's going on? Why is the news not only not suppressed, but also getting more intense? If this continues, you won't be able to stay in the entertainment industry. Shen Yizi remained calm. Sister June, are you? It's okay. Relax, it will be fine. She waits for things to ferment to the most suitable time, and when that time is reversed, she can also maximize the benefits. However, as soon as Gu Switting came back, her little plan came to nothing. Hearing that the little girl he cherished was dissed by the entire internet, Gu Switting's anger level instantly exceeded the interstellar level, and he calmed down the storm with thunderous means. The first step is to refute the rumors and ask the technical team to clarify the so-called black materials one by one. At the same time, notify Neo's legal team to send legal letters to those trolls. He didn't just give a warning, he just started sweeping without saying a word, not sparing anyone. If you dare to throw dirty water on his little girl, he will sue them so that they can't take care of themselves for the rest of their lives. After dealing with the trolls who were jumping up and down, he directly posted on Weibo. Baby, come back, I will take care of you. And at Shen Yizi. Although he doesn't usually use Weibo, as the president of Chenyeo, he has a lot of people following him, and his number of fans is no less than that of first-line celebrities, or even more. So once he posted this meager comment, the comment section exploded instantly. Ah, my husband posted on Weibo, it's finally here in my lifetime. Hubby, look at me, I am your little sweetheart. Alert alert, someone here is doing a sweet crit, and the single dog has died. Husband, I also want to be your baby. Seeing these comments about calling his husband, Gu Switting frowned and sent another meager message. I am just the husband of someone in my family, please be careful what you say. It was quiet for a second, and all kinds of screams burst out, but after seeing his thunderous methods, no one dared to disobey him in person and call him husband. Of course, it's not against the law to scream in your heart. Who wouldn't want to be his wife, a man who is as handsome as the sky, rich and powerful, and is held in the palm of his hand and pampered by him? Shen Yizi must have saved the galaxy in his previous life to be treated like this by their husbands. Because of Gu Switting's meager 2 posts, Shen Yizi once again became a hot search topic. Those who had previously criticized her and abused her seemed to have collective amnesia, and they all swarmed to her Weibo. As a result, her number of fans exceeded 1 million in one night. And it continues to grow. Shen Yizi, not one of his works has been aired yet, and he has not been on a program yet, so he became so unexpectedly popular. He broke into the entertainment industry with a strong attitude, leaving a bright light that cannot be seen. There are a lot of troubles when people are famous, not to mention that she became famous in a very short period of time, so she will cause even more troubles. However, these cannot affect Shen Yizi at all, and she will do as she should. After staying at home for nearly a week, when he went to school, Shen Yizi learned that there would be an exam the next day. Just take the exam, don't be afraid at all, okay? But all the students, including the teacher, didn't think so. They looked at her with worry, excitement, admiration, or gloating. After class, Shen Yizi was not surprised to be called to the office. The old classmate explained a lot of truths carefully. She did not make any more guarantees. Anyway, no matter how much she said, the teacher would not believe it. The best proof is to directly show the test results. After the exam, it happened to be the weekend. Shen Yizi received a call from Gu Xiao, saying that the show doshi was ready and everything was ready. All that was needed was for the guests to be present. As a new program, it needs popularity but not popularity, and it needs viewers but not viewers. Therefore, although the program team has strong funds, it did not invite any big-name guests at the beginning. Gu Xiao and the others didn't care. Their original intention of hosting this show was just to allow Qin Jin, an anorexic patient, to eat the food cooked by Shen Yizi openly. They are more of a playful mind. However, Yan Ran didn't know where he heard that they had created a food fighting program, and he insisted on participating in it as a friendly party. Out. They have no ambition to make the program bigger, otherwise they would have spent money on extensive publicity, but when the opportunity comes to them, there is no need for them to refuse, right? Since Yan Ran is coming, Wang Yi, who has always paid close attention to him, will not miss it. Not only did she come, but she also spent a lot of money in it, striving to become the employer and be Yan Ran's financial backer and father, so that she could treat him confidently. Of course, she only had the courage to think about it. If she really did something to Yan Ran, she would be the first to give up. Asterisk. Gu Xiao arrived at Bishui Villa and entered the gate with familiarity. When he saw Shen Yizi and Gu Switing having breakfast, he walked over without politeness. After eating and drinking, he greeted Shen Yizi, "Zizi, let's go then. We'll be there just in time for lunch." Shen Yizi's body stiffened. She originally planned to tell Gu Switing about participating in the show after breakfast, but who would have thought that Gu Xiao, a bastard, would actually say it so openly. Seeing Gu Switing's expression suddenly darken, she knew something was wrong. She smiled flatteringly at Gu Switing. Gu Switing tilted his head expressionlessly, his freezing gaze falling on Gu Xiao. "Let's go, where to go?" Gu Xiao was surprised. "Did you know that you didn't tell my brother that you were going to participate in the show?" Shen Yizi glanced at him, treated him like porridge in a bowl, and stabbed him hard. This guy can't even look at people's eyes. "Gu Xiao, tell me." Gu Switing didn't want to do anything to Shen Yizi, so naturally he had no choice but to shoot at his younger brother. After listening to Gu Xiao's confused explanation of the program plan they had concocted, Gu Switing drank his porridge slowly and gracefully without making any comments. Shen Yizi and Gu Xiao looked at each other, each feeling worried. Gu Xiao winked at Shen Yizi, "My brother treasures you the most. Please say something quickly. My brother looks weird like this." Seeing that he dared to complain to Shen Yizi in front of her, Gu Switing's eyes became even colder. He stood up and said, "Gu Xiao, come with me." Gu Xiao's face suddenly drooped, and he followed Gu Switing to the study miserably. 10 minutes later, the two came out one after the other. Gu Xiao went outside to wait very obediently.